Hello, here we go with the next review from the London Open Go Congress 2021. It's the 6th round. Here we've got some opening. So far everything is common, and now White decided to play this kind of move. It's not so popular to play a move like this. It's not a common Joseki, where usually White plays this move. It's also possible to play this kind of move, and usually Black plays Tenuki. Yeah, if Black decided to play anything around, for example something like this, and now this exchange, A for B, it could be a helpful exchange for White, because now White, while having this extra stone and while getting the wall in the next several moves, White might be able to surround Black, and now this exchange, this A for B, it's a very nice exchange for White. White kills Black, so White going to have a very nice shape. For Black, it's not so interesting to play something like this to keep White separated, and usually Black plays elsewhere, so later perhaps it would be possible to play maybe some Sente moves, maybe it would be possible to fight this way, yeah, so that if White answers, maybe then Black would be able to escape with this group. Maybe it would be possible to ignore at some point this kind of attachment. So if Black makes here some big potential in the higher part of the board, later maybe it will be possible for Black not to answer at some point on this kind of exchange, but it's also possible for Black simply play later from the other side, like something like this and something like this is also fine. Black simply gives White this small base, small territory, Black just plays somewhere else. In the actual game, Black decided to play in the top right corner, and then White played also Tenuki, and then Black played this kind of exchange, and then White came back so that Black cannot destroy this White's base, so now White is basically safe. Black got this corner and Sente. Now Black played this attachment, playable if the ladder works well for Black, so Black can play this, it's okay. This is a common attachment initiated by AI, so here we have this kind of exchange. So normally the Joseki is like this, and then something like this, so White is able to cut, and here there is a ladder. So if this ladder worked well for White, then it would be not so comfortable for Black. It might be also possible for White to play something else. Perhaps White can consider this kind of move if the ladder works well for White, so now Black might have some problems. In the actual game, Black decided, however, not to make this exchange first, and Black played here double Hane. And this move is actually not so usual. Normally Black plays this exchange first, and then Black plays this kind of move. So when Black decided to play this double Hane, if I was White, I think I would just cut. If Black kills these two stones in the center and White kills this one stone here on the left side, I think the situation is more comfortable for White. Later White is able to connect here everything underneath. White has a lot of territory in the corner. Black captured these two stones, but Black's shape, it's not that perfect. Now it looks like empty jungle after capturing these two stones. It's not like a common Ponuki, because this stone would need to be there normally to capture stones. White doesn't have these kind of stones around. White simply captured this Black stone without the necessity of coming back at some point to play this kind of move, and Black has this stone. Also, if you are looking on this White shape, Black has a stone which it doesn't do anything for Black, so this White's Ponuki is worth more than this Black's Ponuki, even though Black captured two stones and White only one. When Black decided to play this double Hane, I would recommend for White to cut this stone and capture this and get stronger shape for the left side, even though Black would be able to capture these two stones. However, White decided to simply connect, yeah, and now Black played this exchange and came back. So here, if Black decides to play something like this, so that Black can connect this own shape, later it would be this empty triangle, Black would need to consider playing from the other side. However, it might turn out in Gote, so if Black would play something like this, yes, Black might think about these kind of moves, but it's anyway Gote. And also, if Black decides to connect here, if the ladder starts to work well for White, White might be able to cut, but even if the ladder doesn't work well for White, White still might be able to spoil a little bit more this Black's shape. So now I think Black played quite well. This move, just an exchange, and play here to have some kind of potential for an eye. I think it would be more interesting for White to have this kind of exchange play it earlier, so that White would have this ladder breaker in the future in Sente. And now if Black decides to play like this, there is no ladder breaker for White. If we come back to the situation, this is what Black played here first, this kind of exchange, so that when White came back here, I think it was a nice exchange for Black, because usually in Joseki Black plays like this and here White cuts, so that later it is able to play some ladder breaker in the future and black is going to capture the stone or play something like this. Let's say white would play stairs where I just put a random move. Later black might think about capturing the stone, but black might also think about playing something a little bit further to have a few more points in the center. But in the game we got this shape. So now white decided to connect. Now black played this one, so here we've got some center for white, and white played tenuki. Like this move, it's a big move because either white gets a nice potential towards the right side, or black also able to get some nice looking center, and this black's group is also a little bit stronger if black plays there or weaker if white plays there, so it might be possible to attack in the future. So this move is playable. I think I would play here immediately if I was white, but it's not very big so that white will need to play here every time. If there are very big points, might be possible to ignore it. However, I would recommend just to play here immediately. White decided, however, to play tenuki, so now black was able to get this nice shape. However, now if we are looking on the shape on the top left corner, here, how to continue for white. Normally this is what white played. It's, like, in my opinion, the perfect combination of attacking black so that it's difficult for black to enter the corner. Normally this stone, like after making this exchange, this A for B, white has many possibilities to play around. It's possible to play something like this, like this, like this, generally many options. But I would recommend to almost always play what white played in the actual game. Why? Because if black decides to play something in the corner, and white plays here, then white is able to connect. Underneath, there is some kind of weakness here, so that white is able to cut. It doesn't matter if black makes some exchanges or no, all the time there are weaknesses in black's shape. So white is able to cut. It's difficult for black to do much in that corner. Not so easy to survive, not so easy to get a nice shape for black. If white played higher, then it's not possible to do the same. Now, if white will play something like this, it's not possible for white to connect. Black is able to keep white separated. Here we can assume that some kind of moves like this are going to be sent anyway for black, so that white will need to answer. And if white plays lower but a little bit closer to these stones, something like this, then black might ignore this possibility in the corner and just focus on attacking the stone. Here it's easier to attack white because it's closer to black's stones. So if black will simply play a move like this, black already attacks white a little bit more. So black has a possibility of simply jumping, and then this white stone stays closer to this strong group of black. Or maybe in some situations black might think about leaning over a stone. So like this, black might be able to get some nice shape in the center. Black is a little bit faster in this race towards the center. So if we go, for example, something like this, black is the first one in the center. Black controls this, what's going on. When there are no stones around, this move is what I would recommend to play for white. Difficult to really continue for black in that corner. In the game, black played tenuki, white came back on the top. It's hard to find really nice spots where to play for white. There are not so big points anymore. Everything looks like it's played. Here it's still quite open, so it's difficult to really get here much for both players in this area on the bottom. And this kind of move, it also creates some more weaknesses in black's corner in the future, so it looks fine. Now black played this move. White played some attachment to play a little bit faster. I was wondering if white plays here, for whom is it better? It looks like black gets here some base. Black gets here some points. This black's group, it's safer, but black was actually already quite strong. Black, while having this move here earlier at A, it looks like black already has a strong shape, so getting this extra strength maybe it's not so necessary in this case for black. Now if white just plays a simple move like this, white separates black, and now these two black stones, they look strange. If black will try to escape with these stones, then black will push white into black's territory, into black's potential, like what black is going to play. Something like this, white can simply extend. And now black is trying to escape, and black's potential here in this area is gone. So it's like black tries to play on both sides, and it doesn't look well. So maybe this is not the most interesting direction for black. Perhaps it could be more interesting for black to play just something like this, and later try to do maybe something more in that corner, because like this black has an extra stone. Maybe it could give some help for the future if black would like to play in that area, like maybe something like this. Or maybe simply ignoring this shape anyway and play something on the bottom, trying to get maybe some potential over there for black. Black played, however, here, and white didn't play simple. White played a little bit more complicated stuff. It's also quite nice because like this, white is faster. This is just a simple move. but maybe this one is even more comfortable for white, so that like this, if black comes back, then white already made this exchange, so white made black a little bit over concentrated on the left. White got an extra stone, so even if white plays a simple move like this, now white all the time keeps attack over these two stones, but already got territory, several points on the left, protected this weakness so that it's not so easy to cut for black here, and white made it impossible for black to connect these two stones with the other stone. Of course, black can try to complicate after this move. Maybe there are some strange cuts and so on. In the game, black decided to play here in the corner. Later, black is able to think about some cuts. Maybe black would like to do some exchanges in that corner, and later perhaps cut, trying to do some problems for white. White cut, I think it's a common move. Then black played this exchange and black cut this way. So it's basically similar as if we reverse the order, as in the common variation. Okay. After these exchanges, white played here instead of this move. Now this exchange might be helpful, because now if white plays the same move which white played, like in this variation that I was showing before, now when black decides to play here, it might be a nice exchange for black. White cannot really keep extending all the time. If this exchange didn't exist, and if black played just some moves like this, now white is simply able to keep extending, and all the time after this is possible to cut, so that if black tries to break through, it's possible for white to capture these two stones. Or if black plays something like this, anyway white has a lot of liberties, so it's not a big problem. Or if black plays, for example, this exchange first and then black plays like this, then white is able to play here, and then if black will try to push, like white can also do some problems for black. There is generally no problem with this cut, and in this area white is able to extend. But in the game, when we have this exchange played first, this one, white plays the same. Now in the situation here, it looks like white played this Hane, which was not so comfortable for white, because black was able to cut white's shape. Perhaps instead of playing somewhere there, I was wondering, what if white would play this exchange first? It's center for white, black is going to extend. Now it's not possible for black to keep white separated. So one problem is fixed for white in this case, and later still it might be possible for white to play something like this. And after this move, it still might be possible for white to cut. There are agi all the time, there are weaknesses all the time, so that later it might be possible to try to kill these stones from black. Still, black cannot really do much. I think it can be a little bit more interesting for white to play this more severe variation. In the game, however, white played this move. It's an empty triangle. Sometimes, however, it might be also possible to play this move. Generally, if there is nothing around working well, usually this is a nice move. In this case, when white has this help around, like this stone, usually I would not recommend to play here, just instead playing on the second line and then aiming at cutting. But if white doesn't have any help around, then usually this move is possible variation, so that to spoil a little bit of black's shape, keep more liberties for white, and then trying to struggle while playing on the second line after some cuts. Later, somehow it turned out that black didn't really get anything. White got this left part and white kept everything on the top connected. Maybe black could think about doing something more. When white played this exchange and played on the top, now for black playing this move while having this exchange, a for b, is not so good shape for black. But on the other hand, still black cuts. If the ladder doesn't work well for white, if it's not possible for white to capture black, maybe it's interesting for black to play this way. Or maybe black can also think about playing from this side. It basically leads to the same result, so black can play something like this to take away this white's liberty, so that white is not able to play something like this, because black will kill these free stones first because of taking away this liberty. So white will need to play from the other side, and if white decides to play something like this, then black gets some kind of a wall, which is not so small. I think it can be quite comfortable for black to get this kind of wall anyway. In the game, white played this exchange and later white played on the top, and now black connected. I would recommend to cut. So after this connection, this white shape got very simple. I think white should be quite happy. White protected everything. White took black's base on the left. White captured this black stone. It looks quite comfortable for white. And now even this black's group in top left corner still doesn't have eyes. So black will still need to try to run away with this group. It should be quite fine for white. Now black played a move to survive in that corner. So white made some exchange, I think not necessary. Later white played here some move, I think to try to protect some weaknesses. So if white doesn't play anything there, if white plays elsewhere, black can try to play some cutting points and later like try to get some kind of a wall, perhaps one option for black. Something else might be to try to play this kind of moves, later something like this, something like this, something like this, and cutting. So this is some kind of strange sequence, but I think it can work for black to try to spoil it white's shape. So there are some weaknesses in the game. White decided to play here to protect these weaknesses by a bit, and also not to let black take this wall, so that if white didn't play there, black could try to play here, but actually black can play at a simple extension. It can lead to attack over all this white's group. And also when white decides to play this Kosumi, it's difficult for black to run in this direction. Then black played this exchange, white connected, and black played here in the corner. I think black lost a move if black plays elsewhere. If white plays something like this, then black can play here. If white plays anything here, black can play like this. If white plays some crazy moves, this is going to be centered for black, black can come back. If white plays from the other side, black can simply make an eye, so it's also alive. Even if white tries to play some strange moves, there is anyway no ko. It's possible to play some kind of double ko. White plays somewhere here first, so still there is going to be some double ko for black. So black is alive, handicap extra for white. So here I think black should just play somewhere in the center to keep an easy escape. It doesn't really matter where if playing from this side. I think white should be quite happy now. And white started the attack over these black stones on the top. So black kept running. Later we've got moves like this. Black tried to spoil white's shape, but white keeps attacking. At the end, black escaped, but white protected here some weaknesses with own shape and got some extra moves so that for black it will be difficult to make points in the center. Later white played some Keima. White also gets some potential, and white starts some slow attack over these black stones. So far black doesn't have eyes. Maybe here will be one eye, maybe slowly it might be also possible for white to attack black. Now black started this kind of move, and here black played some combo. Here white played some exchange. This was center, and after the center it was easier to connect with these two black stones with the other group. And here in this situation I didn't understand why did white decide to play this exchange. I think it's not so necessary for white to play here. I think white could just play what white played earlier. Now yes, white is going to have some kind of center, but still it would be possible to play here for white later. So I don't really understand why did white make this exchange. So later black played something like this, white answered, and now like some strange things happened in my opinion. Black played here. In my opinion, black wanted to capture this stone in center so that it would be like this. Later white doesn't have center moves neither here nor here. So later I think black would try to attack this white's group here in the center. On the other hand, this attack it's all the time not so simple because white still has this kind of moves. It's still possible for white to play something there, and it's anyway going to like give white some eyes. So black would need to play something here anyway on the left side, and like this white would be able to play a move somewhere in the center to keep everything connected and escape with all these stones. This move that white played here immediately, black decided just to accept and try to survive with this group. Black now was able to play a little bit more risky, but the situation was quite horrible for black before, because after this move when black lost a move, and before it was already actually quite nice for white, the situation is quite horrible for black. Now black was able to try to risk. Now we can also notice that even if white gets here some wall, even if white would get here some extra stones, they are not really going to help white much. Now when black just accepted and killed these white stones, didn't let white to capture black stones, now it starts to be a super risky game, but this risk is normally better for this player who was losing before, so I think black should just be satisfied so that this game started to be more open for him with more chances to win. So now we've got some strange cuts and trying to kill this group. And here also I was wondering, why did black play here? Black is anyway trying to survive or escape, but if black decides to make this kind of exchange, let's A for B, black is going to have here half of an eye, because white might still play here later. And if black didn't play there, white would be able to play this exchange so that black would have there no eye. So it's basically center for both players and half an eye gain for black. On the other hand, if black plays something like this, now this B move blocks, it protects white, so that it's much more difficult for black to escape with this group. Black is not going to survive now because black has only half an eye. Even if black would play somewhere there, it would be one eye, but where is the second eye? So playing this kind of exchange doesn't make sense for black. If black wants to play this, what happened in the game, like here there were some ko and so on, this exchange, it helps white a lot, because without this exchange, black would have more space. Like this, black has more space to play some ko threats or do anything in this direction, or even try to escape somehow this direction. But after this exchange, if black would already have one eye, and this is just to survive, then okay, it's good. Yeah, why not? But black is still not alive. Black still must struggle to somehow survive with this group. So then this kind of exchange, it's a huge loss for black. White gets extra stone of help, and black still is not alive. Black still needs to try to run away. In the game, black played here also some exchange, and then some exchanges here. So at the end there was some ko for this group. What happened here in this lower left corner? So white has this lower left corner, and white has here this part a little bit higher. Black didn't get any points, and we have a ko for life of this black's group. So overall, I think the situation is quite nice for white. Now we have a ko. There are some ko threats played from both players. So far, each ko threat is like a ko threat because it's local. It's hard to play anything else. Like also if white kills these stones, yeah, it's just very big. If white gains anything, it should be just great for white. So now here at this point, white played some tenuki. It's also fine if black captures this ko and white plays this what white played in the game. Still, I think white should be just satisfied. White all the time didn't lose anything, and white got here extra 2 stones in the top right corner, so I think white should be just happy. But in the game, black played tenuki. Black didn't capture ko. Black didn't answer ko threat. It's interesting move. What's going on? If looking at the difference between capturing ko and playing here, what is the difference? White doesn't have a base. White doesn't have eyes on the bottom. In the future, it might be much easier for black to escape with this stone, because like this, black would be attacking this white's group. If black is able to separate these two groups, or separate also this group, which is here higher, at some point. Generally, if black is able to separate all these groups, then this move is like very good move. Also, if black kills anything there, then we can notice that black doesn't need to come back. So like this, black doesn't only make life with this group, but black tries to get something more. And also, if white would, for example, in this position simply answer, then this exchange is also a very nice exchange for black. It gives black a huge profit, right? Many points, so that white is not able to get here really that nice territory. White had to play a move just to protect without really any profit for white, and black is able to get also some points for himself. So this kind of exchange, it's also a very nice exchange. So I think this black's move is really a very good move in this part of this game, while having this ko, not to play any of these 2 options which we normally consider, neither capturing ko nor answering the ko threat, but just playing elsewhere, so that black complicates this game a little bit more and has a potential to get a little bit more. So white captured ko. Now black started to play this kind of ko threat and now captured the ko back. White played tenuki, and black started to play all these crazy things here to separate and cut their white. Why not continuing? Why not playing here to continue immediately? Like white captured ko. Now white played here, black played here, white answered. Why even capturing this ko of black playing in this spot was to stop thinking about this ko, killing something so that there will be no ko. So I think it's actually a loss of a move for black to capture this ko now, because like this, white still has this possibility of playing somewhere else and not playing this ko. And here, when black has this move, I think there is this possibility to cut. So white, while capturing this ko, lost another move. So here I think black should just go with it to try to separate white. Yeah, but black captured ko, white played tenuki. So overall, it didn't really change the situation here. However, if white survives, white will win the game, because white already got a lot of points in this top right corner. So in the game, black started with all these cuts. Black started doing a lot of problems for white, and actually it was, I think, impossible for white to resist. So at the end, white simply died with almost everything. Yeah. Black got a lot of ko threats, even black came back here, so yeah, black killed all these groups. Black is winning the semi, and here also there is like basically a life in that corner. There is so-called 1000 year ko. If white plays here and black plays here, white can capture, but it's like almost impossible for white to win. Yeah, actually, even while having this ko, it's like, yeah, really very, very difficult for white to win this kind of ko, so it's generally an over. Black killed this group, black killed this group. It's just too much. So here I think the main thing for white was focusing more on this shape. Normally when black created this ko, it meant that black would need to play there 2 times. And because white didn't lose really anything before, I was wondering what if white would simply play like this. Easy move, doesn't cost white much. So like this, white played this exchange, and instead of capturing ko, white plays here. If black answers, okay, black captured this ko, but white is protected with everything. White has here some extra points. Later white can play something in that top right corner, for example something like this to survive there, or maybe something here, or generally anything in that area, so that there would be probably some life or maybe some ko for white in that corner. I think white is just ahead after black played this move in this top left. So I think like this game is simplified and black cannot do much with this cutting point. But later when white played here and black played this very interesting move in this spot, now this game started to be much more difficult for white, yeah, and I think black started to be ahead. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you. Thank you. Bye.